Okay, so this is the next video going into review set 15A and looking at question 2. So here we're finding dy dx, which is just another form of saying find the derivative. And we're going to start with looking at this first one here. So if we have y equals 3x squared minus x to the power of 4, we can deal with all those numbers, so we can go straight to finding the derivative here. First step, multiply the power by the coefficient. 3 times 2 gives us 6. And put the x in. 2 minus 1 leaves us to the power of 1. Now here we're going to multiply it by the coefficient, which is minus 1, multiplied by the power, which gives us minus 4 times x, and 4 minus 1 gives us 3. So we're left with 6x minus 4x cubed. Now for this one, it's a bit trickier. We need to get our formula first into the form that we can use. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it into two fractions. So we have x cubed over x squared minus x over x squared. Now, using our index laws, we know that the power, when we have the same bases here, which are x, divided by one another, then we subtract the power on the bottom from the power on the top. So we're left with 3 minus 2, which is x to the power of 1, minus, here we have x to the power of 1, minus 2 is x to the power of minus 1. So we have 3 minus 2 equals 1. 1 minus 2 equals minus 1 to find our new powers using our index laws. So now that we've done that and we've got a expression that we can work with, we can find the derivative dy dx. And using our rule, x, the first term here, x is to the power of 1, so it's 1 times, and then 1 subtract 1 is 0, so we're left with x to the power of 0, and as we know, anything to the power of 0 is 1, so we're left with 1 times 1, which is 1. And then we have subtract x to the power of minus 1. So we need to multiply our imaginary 1 in front of the x by the negative 1 that's our power. So we're actually going to end up with positive 1. Now minus 1 here, subtract 1 gives us minus 2, so we're left with 1 plus x to the power of minus 2. And we need to convert that back into the form that we had before. So we're given, or we have 1 plus 1 on x squared. Now that would be fine, but we've got to have one fraction at the top, so we could also write it as x squared plus 1 over x squared, because now our first term here, x squared over x squared, gives us the 1. Either one would be good enough. Okay, our next question asks us the gradient of the tangent to the function of minus x squared plus 4x minus 2 at the point minus 3 minus 23. So the gradient of the tangent is the derivative, so we can find our derivative. F dashed x equals 2 times minus 1 minus 2 x, 2 take 1 is x to the power of 1, plus power here is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. When we have 1 subtract 1, we end up with x to the power of 0, which leaves us with 1, so 4 times 1. So our derivative is minus 2x plus 4. That means our derivative at x equals minus 3 equals minus 2 times minus 3 plus 4. Minus 2 multiplied by minus 3 is 6. The negative times the negative gives us a positive. Plus 4 equals 10. Okay, the next question says, find all the points on the curve y equals 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 10x plus 3, where the gradient of the tangent is 2. So again, we know we need to know the gradient of the tangent because our formula's given to us in the form of y equals. We're just going to use the form of our derivative that says dy dx. Now I'm going to multiply the coefficient by the power. 2 times 3 gives us 6. X. 3 take 1 gives us squared. For the next term, 2 times 3 again gives us 6. X. 2 minus 1 leaves us with 2 to the power, or x to the power of 1, which we can just write as x. Now here, remember, we've got our imaginary 1 above our x, so we have minus 10 times 1, minus 10. X to the power of 1, subtract 1 is x to the power of 0, which is 1, 10 times 1. And the 3 we know will go to 0 when we do our derivation. So now we have this term 6x squared plus 6x minus 10, and we need to find out where that gradient, where this is equal to 2. So we're going to set that to 2, and now we're going to solve for x. The easiest way to solve for x is to find zeros. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides of our formula here. So we're going to have 6x squared plus 6x minus 10, take another 2 is minus 12, equals 0. And we can look at that and say, okay, now we need to factorize it, so we can use our null factor law to solve for 0. When we look at all of these terms, we can see that we can take out 6 as a common factor. So we're going to do that first. And that will leave x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. Once we've done that, we can have a look at our quadratic that's left here. Now, using our sum and product rule, we want to find two numbers that multiplied together give us minus 2 and added together give us plus 1. So two numbers that multiplied together to give us minus 2 would be minus 2 and positive 1, or minus 1 and positive 2. Now we need to get positive 1 here, so it's going to have to be positive 2 and negative 1. So we can have 6x plus 2, x take 1 equals 0. So now we're going to set both of these equal to 0, because in either case our outcome will be 0. So if x plus 2 equals 0, then x equals minus 2. And if x take 1 equals 0, then x equals 1. So we have these values for x, where we know that the curve, or the gradient of the tangent to the curve, is going to have a value of 2. The slope is going to have a value of 2. So we need to actually find the points though. So what we need to do now is go back to our y equation and put in those values. So first of all, y equals 2 times minus 2 to the power of 3 plus 3 times minus 2 minus 10 times minus 2 plus 3. Minus 2 cubed is minus 8. Minus 8 times 2 is minus 16. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. Minus 10 times minus 2 is positive 20. And then we add 3 at the end. Minus 6 take 6 is minus 22. Plus 20 is minus 2. Plus 3 is 1. So our first point would be minus 2, 1. We do the same thing for the value of 1, which is going to be 2 times 1 cubed plus 3 times 1 minus 10 times 1 plus 3. We get 2 plus 3 minus 10 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, minus 10 is minus 5, plus 3 leaves us with minus 2. So our second point is 1 minus 2. And that's it for this video. I'll be back with the next question in a moment.